Welcome back to Third Man In. I'm Zack Phillips, and in tonight's post-game stream, we're going to be breaking down game number 29 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, losing to the New York Rangers here tonight 5-2. Obviously 4-2, late empty net goal. Late-ish. Sheldon Keefe pulls the goalie with about 4 minutes remaining. The New York Rangers, Mika Zibanejad scores with just over 3 minutes left in the third period there. But nonetheless, that's the goal that makes it 5-2. We'll break down the entire game here tonight, the entire Martin Jones performance. Austin Matthews currently sitting at 25. William Nylander getting some more points on the board. What's going on with the second line? The 1,000-point ceremony for John Tavares there. We'll get to all of that here tonight, as well as take some calls. So if you do want to call into the show, please make sure to send a message over to me on Twitter at ZackPhil, at ZackPhill, over on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. If you want to message me on Instagram as well, I can send you guys links there, ZackPhillips _ on Instagram if you do want to send a message there. If you do want to call into the show, make sure to find me. I'll send over a link, get you guys to call in as well. If you do have Discord, you can also find it there. But before we get into anything else here tonight, I just want to remind people, we're getting closer to the holidays here. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on this stream. That's what I want for Christmas. Christmas is on Sunday. Christmas Eve is on Sunday. Christmas is on Monday. If you guys get to 1,000 by Christmas, just saying. Be kind of nice. I won't be mad about that if we can get to 1,000 by Christmas. So if you're watching right now, and you haven't already, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel, turn on notifications so you get notified every single time we go live, whether it's live streams, post-game stuff, if it's videos talking about news, rumors, reactions. I try to cover everything that's actually going on with this team, whether it is guys being out or if we have new situations coming up with players coming into this team, new people joining the organization, whatever it is. I'm trying to break that all down. Anything surrounding this team, you're not going to want to miss it. So hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. It's all happening here on the Third Man In channel. So thank you for the support. Let's get it to 1,000 subscribers. Let's get into the conversation for tonight. Let's talk about what happened. And look, as far as effort goes here tonight from this Leafs team, it's not like, oh, this is the best game ever that they played, but I truly don't believe that this was one of the worst. It's kind of nice to have a night where you get Matthews to get a couple of goals there. I look at these goals against. I'll get to some of the chat and see where you guys are at, but basically 4 goals here on Jones. I don't really know what he's supposed to do. The first one, I didn't even know where that puck was. I don't know how Martin Jones was supposed to. He tracked the puck across really, really well, had a good idea of where it was. Next thing you know, it's 10 feet in the air, and it's 4 feet to the left of him. And he's trying to figure out, A, how it got there, and B, if he can get across to get it. Can't get there ultimately, and it ends up going in. That one's unlucky. Then you get the Lafreniere goal where he rips it on the power play. There's 8 seconds left. He kind of steps in off the wall. Morgan Riley goes out to block it. It hits him, and it goes directly through Martin Jones after. It's like that thing was going wide of the net, like well wide of the net, and it hits him and goes in. Can't really blame him there. There's 2 goals. Leafs are down 2-1. Even outside of that, like the one thing we've talked about with Samsonov here a little bit, and it's kind of been an issue, and I think it's caused him to start to get into this hole that he's in and led to some of these problems, and probably part of the reason why he's struggling to dig himself out of the situation that he's in right now is he gets scrambly, and he gets lost in his net a little bit, and he relies a little bit too much on athleticism and reactions and being responsive to things than he does of just playing the game and squaring up and calming things down and just being a goaltender first and reacting second. Martin Jones looked really calm. I mean, you get those 2 goals on him tonight where it's not his fault at all. The team's down 2-1 now. You could get in a spot where maybe you get a little bit scrambly, get a little bit reactionary, and he doesn't, which I think also is a good sign for the guys in front of him, because I'm not going to say Samsonov is like a driving force of the mentality or the mindset or whatever of the team in front of him. I don't know that. I actually don't really think that even outside of that. But you can definitely tell with a goaltender that if the goalie's panicking, why would the team in front of them feel confident, right? If you're going to look back there and your goalie is scrambling and upset and overreacting to things that maybe they shouldn't be, then it's kind of going to permeate throughout the rest of the team where they're going to start to feel some panic. They're going to feel a little bit out of control and lack some of that calmness, which just creates an uncomfortable environment for everybody. Martin Jones, I don't think will ever have that really, just because of his maturity, the fact that he's been around for so long. He's had some times where he's been in some very, very high pressure situations, especially when he was with San Jose. Even look at last year, he's the backup goaltender to Grubauer. Grubauer's not really performing to maybe the level that they thought he could. Martin Jones, maybe not with the best stats in the world, found ways to get wins, which I think is kind of a testament to him and the fact that he did do that. Despite not really putting up the greatest statistics ever. It's kind of like that saying or that thing when they reference with Grant Fuhr where they talk about the fact that he would give up a bunch of goals in a game. And you're always talking about, wow, you gave up so many. And it's just, well, you got to save one more than the other guy or let in one less goal than the other guy. That's what wins you hockey games. And I think Martin Jones kind of has that. He's a veteran goaltender stepping in here, be calm, be comfortable in front of the team. And it kind of instills that ahead of them. The Leafs end up tying it up 2-2. And unfortunately, from there, it just doesn't go the Leafs' way. Like, there was some obvious mistakes. We will get into those. We'll hear what some callers have to say here as well tonight about their thought on this game. And again, when I'm talking about this, I'm not excusing this team in regards to like the way that they played, because they could have played a lot better. I'm just kind of analyzing some of these goals and truly coming away from this one being like, you know what? I think Martin Jones, like, he just got the short end of the straw here tonight. Third goal, you could probably have back, but that being said, there's a lot of stuff that leads up to it. The Leafs get burned in the offensive zone, kind of into the neutral zone on the turnaround. They go D to D, it's back to Braden Schneider. He just cuts through everybody, goes basically untouched all the way through the neutral zone into the offensive zone. And then as he gets by, he goes to go upstairs, which him and Martin Jones both knew he was trying to go upstairs, and it slides 5-hole through him because he fans on the puck. Now, I'm not a goalie coach. I'm not a goalie expert, but realistically, it kind of feels like that's a spot where you should probably at least have paddle on the ice, or you could have had both pads on the ice. I don't know. It didn't feel great watching it, but you could tell that him and Schneider both knew that that puck was going upstairs. Like, that was not an intentional on the ice play by Braden Schneider. I mean, it is what it is. I think that one was a little bit tough, but also one of those ones where you're looking at, like, you had 2 goals earlier that were completely not Jones's fault. It feels like the theme of the night. And then, of course, how do the Rangers score the 4th goal to kind of put the dagger in the Leafs? On the power play, Artemi Panarin goes to make a shot pass kind of thing towards the back door. It's probably going about 2-3 feet wide of the net, and it hits Laguson's skate and goes in the net. Like, that was the kind of night that this was for Martin Jones. There's a bunch of stuff that we could break down from the team in front of him, but I wanted to get to that first because I think that that was kind of a crucial part where Martin Jones has been really good, especially for what you're asking of him as an older goaltender who's coming here as the 3rd goaltender in behind Samsonov, in behind Wall. Samsonov's been struggling. Wall is injured right now. Like, he's not going to get in. If this is a game where you're, as a fan, going to come away from this and be like, wow, we've got some goaltending problems, I think this is one that you kind of got to give your head a shake, because there's goaltending problems ahead of him in terms of injury to Wall and Samsonov not playing that great, but this really just was not a Martin Jones issue kind of night. I truly believe that. If you want to debate me on it, you're more than welcome to. Again, send me messages on whatever platform you want to. I'll send you a link and you can find me on here. We'll chat about it. But yeah, to me, this is just not a Martin Jones issue night. I kind of feel bad for him. I think he played pretty well outside of that. I think he made some good saves. I think he was pretty calm, comfortable in front. It is what it is. It is what it is from there. Outside of that, this team, I think that there is a lot more that is desired from them. It's 5-2. I'm not going to look at the tertiary and 4th lines here tonight and be like, well, why didn't you score goals? I'm seeing comments in the chat. I agree. I'm not a fan of the first power play unit, and it's not necessarily like who's on this unit. It's more the idea of, and yeah, also there was no power play for the Leafs here tonight anyway, so it's not like it really mattered, but like, I'm just not really a fan of this power play. I don't think that they're overly effective, but more what I'll get to is I think we really need a lot more from Mitch Marner right now. He was on the first line. Austin Matthews was still finding ways to score goals, and we kept looking at it saying Marner hasn't been great. Marner just hasn't been that, hey, game breaker or shift breaker, I'll take it over, really create some opportunities type of player that we've seen him be in regular seasons past, where you see at any given moment he can kind of be one of the most dangerous players on the ice. It really hasn't felt like that's come out of his game here this year. He was playing on Matthews' line. It's not really rocking. And then he goes down to the second line. Well, now he's on the second line, and it feels like that's kind of the line that's stalled out a little bit. So I'm looking for more out of him. I really am. And this is not to be a rag on Marner kind of night or kind of a segment or anything, but look, this is the reality. The frustration from myself, and I think the frustration from a lot of other Leafs fans, does not have anything to do with Mitch Marner as a player. The frustration comes in that he demanded 10.93 and Kyle Dubas gave him 10.93. And I didn't think he was deserving of that money when he got it. I don't think he was deserving of it a couple of years after. And right now, to this very date, I don't think he deserved to get that money. And that money in its own kind of looks like it's going to be and has been a problem for this Leafs team to go and find other players to fit around him and contribute to this lineup since. Whether you agree with it or not, William Nylander's contract was always a good contract. People just didn't like the fact that it took so long for it to get signed because it was partway into the season at that point. But 6.9 at that point in time was a good deal, especially looking around at some of the other players. Then you've got John Tavares. That contract, I again have no issue with it. I think that JT contract was fine. Whether you want to consider it an unnecessary signing, then that's a different story. But the money he actually got paid is not an issue. That is what his fair value was. Matthews is on pace here for 70 goals this season or over 60 goals. He's got 25 through 28 games played for himself, 29 on the season for this Leafs team. So he's only played 28. Again, he missed last game. And yet, he's going to be your number one center. He's going to be a guy who can be a game breaker, and goal scoring is probably the most important thing that you're looking for from these guys, especially as your number one center. So that's fine. Mitch Marner is a winger. Wingers don't get paid what centermen do. Whether you think that's right or wrong, they just don't. League comparables will tell you that with every other winger who's gotten paid. You also see a lot of these other wingers, they kind of just take less money. That 10.93 makes his life hell every single time he steps on the ice. And I think that no matter who you are, you should be looking at that contract in comparison to what he's putting out on the ice. And this year, it's truly not being good enough. At 10.93, you need a lot more out of that guy. You need him to be a lot more effective. And it feels like he's kind of stalled out every line that he's been on right now. He has some shifts, maybe a period or two at a time, but it hasn't been that great. I really want a lot more out of him on a consistent basis. Like, yeah, you could look to a Pittsburgh game or the Nashville game or the game he has a hat trick and look at each of these games and say, hey, there was moments or he did things, but even in between then, and again, I'm an analytics plus what you see on the ice kind of guy. Like, I have to piece these things together. It's not being there. Like, what you're seeing on the ice is matching up with what the underlying analytics are. He's struggling on the expected goals battle. Like, he's on the ice for more chances against than he is chances for. Those are things that are struggling for him right now. And then outside of that, it's like, it just doesn't feel dominant. He feels like he's making some mistakes, feels like he's making some ill-advised decisions, ill-advised plays right now that are kind of not necessarily costing them immediately in terms of goals right into the back of the net, but more about the idea that, yeah, he's kind of causing these plays that are doing nothing for them positively. And at $10.93 million, you need a bit more. I think he needs a little bit more going right now. So yeah, I'm not overly happy. I'm just looking for more. I think that's the issue right now. I want more, especially on a consistent basis. You pay a guy $4 to $6 million, you're not gonna get A plus games out of the guy 82 times a season. You pay a guy 10.93, you should probably be getting A plus games like 70 to 75 games out of your 82. So that's my thought. I think it's an expensive contract, and I feel like tonight's one of those nights where it was like that second line just felt and looked quiet, and they were the ones who also got burned there on the Braden Schneider third goal of the game for the Rangers. So it's tough, but I think there's some things we can do better. And to help discuss those, we'll bring in our first caller. We'll hit the animation here to welcome him in.
We're gonna have to go right to ludicrous speed.
Prepare ship for ludicrous speed.
All right, joining me now to help me break it all down. What went on here tonight, his thoughts on the game, thoughts on maybe what I've just broke down with that second line. You heard him here on the last stream. You heard him here over the last couple of streams, I guess, as well. He was the first ever third man in on the Third Man In channel. Dylan, welcome to the stream.
Hey, man. Okay, firstly, I don't know if Megan's still in here. He's a really cool dude. And 6 1/3, you're a really cool dude. Love the conversations that you bring to the stream. But you have a donation to take care of prior to...
All right, I'll do that right now.
Super chat. Prior to us getting into it, Nate, they deserve it more than I do.
Thank you. CD Corn there with a super chat. I appreciate that, CD. CD saying, keep the soup hot, Z. We'll get him in the fourth. Yes, thank you, CD. We've changed up the super chat here on the channel. That's what it was on the last one, the super chat, and then Jack Campbell coming flying in. Fortunately, things aren't going too hot for Jack Campbell as of right now, but nonetheless, we'll keep it rolling. I do appreciate the super chat as always, so thank you very much. Get him in the fourth. We'll get him in the fourth. Dylan, hopefully. Talk to me. What's going on here tonight?
We're going to get to the Marner chat in a minute here. Firstly, I don't know if anybody else is in Ontario, Canada. You accuse me of being from the Maritimes, but no, I'm from Ontario. I'm just redneck. I don't know if anybody else is getting down with the sickness like I am, but holy... I'm getting the smackdown laid on my candy ass with this cold here. I don't know if it's COVID. I don't know what the hell it is, but damn. So there's that.
Well, I hope you feel better.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. Now there's a thing prior to the Mitch Marner talk. Did you see Mike Van Ryan? How after Timmins, even though Timmins, he's a point producer, I think he's a great defenseman. I really do. But the muffin that he gave away to Jimmy Vesey.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. The absolute muffin. And then I was looking at an article that Nick Barden had wrote. And it's taking quotes from not only the Amazon Prime, what was the name of that? The Amazon Prime documentary there.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'll find it here.
How they were called. He was called Jimmy Vesey was called Vanilla, and obviously it was
all or nothing.
All or nothing. Yeah. So, and hey, Corey, I hope your family gets better, bro. I really do. But yeah, VC was basically called out being vanilla, and he's like one of the stars where he was highlighted so many times inside of that documentary where your play has been kind of vanilla. Okay, so what does that mean? And like, does that mean I'm getting sent down? Whatever. So that, and the fact that, well, didn't he get a hat trick on us?
Last year, I believe.
Yeah, last year. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. So you got that, and then you got Timmins just giving them a breakaway. Timmins has to improve, and as I stated prior, and you had mentioned Benoit was minus 29, but Benoit was missed tonight for sure. Even though most of the goals were like lucky bounces, it's still the fact that Benoit, each time he's been in a Leafs uniform, each time that he's been on the ice, not only is there integrity where he's taking care of the front of his net, but
Mhm.
he's laying down and blocking shots. He needs a permanent place. I think personally he is better than Lagesson. What do you think?
Um, I don't know. In terms of like comparison of the two, I don't know. I personally don't know. I feel like they're probably fairly interchangeable. I think it's kind of one of those ones you could have one of them in. You could rotate them in and out. I wonder if maybe there's something going on right now where there's just some flu bug or something going on with the team. Maybe that's why he came out. I don't think he did anything necessarily to pull him out. I don't think anybody in a 7-0 win the other day is doing anything to cost themselves a spot in the lineup, realistically, right? But yeah, I think he's good. I don't necessarily know that it was like, well, look, you have Brody come back in. I think that part of the problem that people have with some of these players is just the comparison or the value that they bring based on their contract. Like I saw a lot of people talking about here in the chat already about their thoughts on Brody, and Brody wasn't great tonight. He wasn't. I think maybe tonight's not the best judgment of who he is or what's going on with him this season because he did just come off of this sickness. Who knows how bad it hit him? It's clearly going through the NFL. You're sick here tonight, Dylan. Like, you clearly are feeling like shit. And yeah, obviously he's not going to go in there if he's still sick, right? There's a lot of other guys they can put in there. There's a lot of other guys that they can get to take those minutes. But that doesn't mean that at some point after the first period, all of a sudden that sickness that he was coming off of didn't hit him hard. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't wear on him.
Yeah.
So tonight specifically is not one of those nights I'm going to look at Brody and be like, wow, this guy stunk tonight. Yeah, he didn't play that great. But maybe to your point, maybe we look at this and say we could have used Benoit because Brody didn't play up to what he could be playing at. Maybe he just didn't because he was coming off this sickness and the full thing wasn't there. So I can kind of understand what you're saying from that perspective, at least.
Hey,
Also, yeah,
I
quickly, I'll just say quickly as well. Wilfred's saying Brody sucked all season. Look, again, I've not really been like the biggest lover of Brody's game so far this year. I think he started to kind of fall off a little bit last year and started to go on a decline, and I think that was a little bit of a problem for this team, especially when it got to playoff times. Like, God, there was some bonehead plays that were made in the playoffs last season and the couple seasons before that as well. So he's definitely not like immune to those. But I more just mean if we're gonna come in here tonight and blame this, like on TJ Brody or something, like again, this would be one of those ones where people might say, "Hey, Martin Jones, if you look at the box score tomorrow, Martin Jones allowed 4 goals on however many shots." Well, watch the game, kind of
but
take
yeah,
some context into that. So
yeah,
that's all I'm
yeah,
saying.
no.
I do agree Brody hasn't been great, but again, and even to Dylan's point, it might have just been one of those nights where it probably just should have been Benoit go in there, Brody take like 2 more days, play on Thursday.
No, not I 100% agree. Now, before we get into this Mitch Marner talk, I need to shout out a couple of your viewers. All these comments I'm reading, I'm looking at Vincent Lee, Wilfred, DBO, Donnie, Vincent Lee again. Like, I'm looking at all these comments, but there's 2 people that every single time I'm on here, Mig, you're kick ass. You're awesome. You are such a nice dude. 6 and
This
a
chat
third.
is awesome.
6 and a third. Why aren't you stirring up shit tonight? Please do it. It's funny. It's entertaining. Gives us something to talk about. It's awesome. Please. It's like, come on. Pick an argument with somebody, like a nice argument, not like a toxic one, but just stir up a little bit of shit like you usually do. So then we've got something to talk about. No, for real though. Don't you agree? He is the little fucker of the chat. He's awesome, isn't he? You always need that one person where he's like nice as can be, but at the same time, he's very strict in
he's always
what
ready
he
to
believes.
go.
Oh, fuck yeah.
To go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, there was a comment earlier talking about Marner getting physical. I can't say I don't agree. I can't say that I don't agree because, like, now there was one time with what was it, Ristolainen, where Matthews was getting bullied a little bit. And then Marner, he did like, I don't know what the wrestling move is, but he basically did an RKO on on Rasmus Ristolainen. Do you remember that where he took him from the neck and like pulled him down, like get the fuck away from Matthews? Do you remember that?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Now he doesn't have to drop his gloves, but show a little bit more integrity, show a little bit more rust, show a little bit more of that shit, that Doug Glatt shit, So I do agree with the comment there a little bit earlier. And another thing, Wilfred, Marner, and Domi should have been playing together. They do have some chemistry because not only the London Knights thing, but they know where each other are going to be because they have played together in the past.
Yeah. So,
be saying Marner, I need to do his D, I can do it. So yeah, no, I get what you're saying there, Meg. I get what you're saying 100%. Marner is not even that small, eh? Like he's not even that small. He could play with a little bit more grit to his game. He doesn't have to drop the gloves, and sometimes he does lay the hits. But when it comes to the scrums, get in there, man. Get in there. Doesn't matter if you get your ass kicked a little bit. You got Reeves, which is, I don't know if he's on LTIR yet or not. You got Domi, you got Bertuzzi, you got McCabe. You got a bunch of people that are going to back you up because you're a star player on this team. Play with a little bit more grit. Now, as for him not producing points at the moment, that sucks. But you know damn well he's going to have a 3 or 4 or 5 point night within the very, very near future. So
I see some stuff here in the chat as well. Kind of get to like I see Vincent saying, like he doesn't have that mentality. 6 1/3 saying Marner's just not that player. Then the reality is Dubas made the ultimate mistake in paying him what he paid him, and we've done the wrong thing in kind of putting him into the category of superstardom that he wants to get into, that he considers himself in, or his dad considers him in, at least, because that 10.93 is not paid to a player who shows up for every other game, and maybe even not this year every other game, and has these types of performances where he's crazy talented, but so was like Alex Semin, and like these are not guys that we're putting into superstar category. So if you want to be a guy who's super talented, that's great for you. But if you want to be a guy who's going to be a superstar player and a guy who can take over and actually help teams win and go to the next level, then no, you don't need to go out there and fight, and you don't need to go out there and blow guys up. But watch Nikita Kucherov, watch Braden Point, watch Steven Stamkos, Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, Mikko Rantanen. Like, some of those guys are bigger in stature. I get that. But the entire point behind it is that these guys aren't a bunch of little like princesses running around who won't do anything for themselves or for their teammates. And every now and then you kind of need to just show yourself and everyone else around you that you're not going to back down. Do you think Matthew Tkachuk is some monster of a human being relative to Marner out there? Like, if we're just going to talk about really high skill players, then... And Vincent saying, I hate to bring up Kessel, but he's won a couple of rings and he's worse than Marner. I have no idea what the relativity to the conversation is here at all, because the point is Phil Kessel was not ever put into superstar category there. And when he won those rings, by the way, he was placed on...
He was.
Well, he was at first, but by the time he was being paid the money and when he was winning Stanley Cups, he wasn't. He was a third-line player with the Pittsburgh Penguins playing a specific role to be a skill guy, and that was it. He was being the skill guy on a line with Hagelin and Bonino. And you know who else was on that, or you know what they did on that line? Hagelin and Bonino, they were the guys who brought the energy, the intensity, the physicality, the forecheck, and then Phil Kessel was the guy who was able to finish and score goals and kind of add that goal-scoring element. So if you're going to compare him to Phil Kessel here, then holy fuck, we are way off, because he's probably being paid about $6 million too much money, and he should be playing on the third line and not the second. So that's just kind of, I don't get that conversation there. But I did see Mig bring up, and it's a good point. It's just like, when you're talking about this, you're just saying,
fucking hilarious, dude. You're so funny.
I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna add this to the law, if you're gonna add this to it, it's just
don't.
No, I know. I'm just saying, it's like the thing with him is more so you're kind of looking for that from his game. I'm not asking for this from him here tonight. Like, whatever.
No,
it's not
we're
like
not,
there was really an opportunity to present itself. I'm talking about him as a player in general. More what I'm saying here when I'm having this conversation about him and that second line tonight is like, Tavares and Bertuzzi were buzzing when they were playing with Nylander. Matthews was struggling when he was playing with Marner. Marner leaves that line. Nylander and Matthews take a couple games to get back to it. Then all of a sudden they're rocking. Matthews is scoring goals like crazy again. Guess which line has slowed down since that point in time? It's become the second line now. And I'm not saying Marner is killing the line. I'm not saying Marner is the reason for the loss here tonight. Like, they're not. All I'm saying is that when you're going to look at these losses, I'm kind of asking for a little bit more out of them, because I'm sitting here saying this guy hasn't been that great all year. We're now 30 games into, or 29, almost 30 games into this season. We're 5-6 days away from Christmas here. So you're going to kind of flip over the calendar after this, go into the new year. And at this point in time, he still hasn't kind of reached what we expect him to be and expect him to be bringing. I'm just saying that, yeah, you can attribute a slow start to some of it and say, yeah, you got a slow start. He'll get rocking at some point. Well, guess what, guys? It's some point. Now is the time where he's got to kind of start to get rocking. Again, I'm not blaming this loss on him here tonight. I'm just saying that I think when you're going to look at these games, like, the second line needs to deliver more. And I saw someone say, why don't you put this on Tavares a little bit? Like, yeah, that third goal was pretty bad. He was over by the boards. McCabe gets pinched off. Tavares is all of a sudden trying to come back across. That second line got exposed there on that goal. My whole thing is just like,
top and he went down bottom, especially with the deflected stick. Now, what I need
and my
to say
thing with this, Dylan, is I would just kind of finish this off by just saying is like, the Matthews line has 2 goals here tonight. Yeah, maybe you could ask for them more from them defensively, but you cannot realistically look at me and say, well, that line needed to be better tonight. 2 goals, okay? If you're going to look outside of that and say maybe some defensive stuff and that they could have brought, sure, but like, even then, I'm pretty sure it wasn't that bad of a night for these guys. Matthews, +1. Nylander, +1. Like, it's not like they were out there for power play opportunities where they're scoring these goals either. So they're fine. Then I'm looking over at the other lines, and it's just like Marner -2, Tavares -2, right? You see what I'm saying? So obviously Matthews and Nylander are out there for a goal against. Those other guys, 0 goals, 0 assists tonight. -2 for each of them. That second line has to be better. And I don't want to hear people coming to the chat after a game like this here tonight and saying, why isn't the third line contributing? Well, let's stop coddling the top 6, because when they need to be better, they need to be better. That is the epitome of what goes on here with this team. Is it gets to the playoff time and everyone loves Mitch Marner so much that they're like, well, Calle Yarncroke needed to score more on the third line. It's like, well, fuck off, because the second line and the first line, and I'm mixing in Matthews and Marner and Tavares and Nylander into this too. Like, again, when I'm going to this, they're involved in that. They're the guys who are being paid 50%, near 50% of your salary cap. They need to be responsible for the effort and the point production that they bring every night. And to sit here and say, well, oh, when those guys don't score, the third line has to score, and then blaming the third line for not getting point production. It's like, why are we just glossing over the fact that the top six didn't score? Like, we cannot continue to baby these guys. Stop fucking babying them over past experience and past point production. That is my thing. Is like, people say Marner is so skilled. You know, he is extremely skilled. He has not been the dominant player that we expect or need him to be this season. So be better. That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm getting at with this.
Yeah,
he was not good. He was not terrible tonight. He did not cost this team this game. He definitely did not. I will 100% admit that they did not cost this team this game. I will 100% agree with that. But in the great scheme of things, they've got to be better.
Yeah.
You lose 5-2. Your first line had 2 goals, and they were +1 here. Your second line was -2, 0 goals, 0 assists. Like, there was no power play opportunities. And if you're going to say, well, they didn't get power plays, how are they going to get points? That's another fucking problem. Find a way to score and get points at 5-on-5. So, again, do not walk away from this thinking that I'm blaming that line. I'm not. I'm more just saying, in these games where it gets tight like this, you kind of got to have those guys show up. You got to have those guys be a bigger piece than being -2 is more my point. Even where you could say, hey, you need some out of the third line, I would probably tend to agree with you. But guess what? Your third line, 0 goals, 0 assists, even, right?
Like, I'm letting you go.
No, I know you're not. I'm just saying in general. So that's my thought on this is like your third line was even on the night. They didn't allow goals against. They didn't have goals for. Your fourth line was -1. Your second line was -2. Right? That's kind of where I'm saying. Like, those guys have to be better. They haven't been that great so far this year. It feels like Marner is kind of struggling, and at this point, it's like he's bringing some of these other guys into it with him. Now I'm done my rant.
Well, all right. Firstly, let me damn. Like, you're a scary dude to argue with. For somebody that's just like as fluffy as a bear, you know what I mean? You're scary as shit.
Well, I feel like if I know what I'm talking about and I'm strong in my opinions, then I can get going.
And then you get the point across. Yeah. Secondly, if you reach 1,000 subscribers by Christmas, will you shave that mustache?
Well, just the mustache, keep the beard.
Yeah. Like even those little tiny stragglers that you consider the connecting ones.
Just these?
No.
Just this or the whole thing?
The mustache and the stragglers. Come on.
I did the
mullet
before, like.
No, we're talking about because clearly last time I got in your head a little bit. Okay.
I mean, I just don't know what to do with these. I think I need the mustache though. I can't just shave the mustache off and keep just the beard.
No. This is the thing. When you're reaching 1K subscribers on your channel, this is a celebration, and you need to do something for the people that come in here constantly. I stay awake even when I'm sick just to be on your stream, just to watch your stream, whatever. You got Mig, you got all these people. Like, look at the comments, bro. They're here for you. Why don't you do something for them? Even if you don't get 1K subscribers, for a Christmas gift or something. Yeah, it's either okay. I'll give you an ultimatum. Okay. And we're gonna get back into hockey talk in a minute.
Okay.
It's either you drink 2 raw eggs for Christmas for your subscribers, 2 raw eggs, or you shave your mustache. Even if you don't get that plateau of 1K, you need to reward the people that are here, because look at the people that are constantly coming back and commenting. Look at the support system that you've got. They deserve something that makes you puke. I'll
do the eggs. I'll do the 2 raw eggs, but you have to get to
but you're a weightlifter. I saw your listen. I saw your Twitter, and I know that like right now the way that you look, it's like you on your Twitter, you're ripped as shit. So you probably drink eggs and do that weird shit to like make your muscles.
No, I don't. Also, where's that on my Twitter? What makes you think that on my Twitter?
The picture where you're like, you want to get roasted tonight, huh? You want to get roasted, bro?
What am
The
I
Twitter
doing?
picture where you're intentionally flexing while somebody's taking a picture of you and then you post it? Yeah, no. Shut up right now. Shut up.
Where? What picture?
The banner thing. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I thought. So what is it? All right, let's make a
That's
deal
a
right
basketball picture. That's a basketball picture.
now.
I'm playing
Oh yeah.
basketball.
Oh, big tough guy. All right, listen. So we're gonna agree on something. No matter what subscriber count you're at, it's either you've gotta eat some raw eggs on stream,
Yeah.
2 of them for Christmas. The latest
No. It has to be 1,000 subscribers, and I'll do the 2 raw eggs. We gotta go tit for tat here. I appreciate everybody coming over and subscribing,
Okay.
but we gotta get to the 1,000.
Well then,
Yeah.
okay. Whoever's listening, if you could please hit that thumbs up button, it does help the algorithm, so you can get this guy 1K subscribers and watch him gag while drinking. Although I think he drinks or eats, or what is it? Eating or drinking those eggs? I don't know.
Drink them. I think they're still in a liquid form at that point.
Yeah, you definitely got to get him to 1K subscribers. Okay, and then the other thing, what was I gonna say? Oh, eat smelling salts, spend
No,
games.
I'm not doing that. I think that's dangerous.
It probably is. I'm just reading them. Let me see. So we got spend games is awesome. 6 1/3. Zach's scared. No, dude. Like if you go and look at his Twitter, go and follow his Twitter. Like if you got it. But like this dude is actually like low key ripped. Now I got a couple of questions for you before you get back into the hockey talk. How old are you?
25.
25. Oh damn, I'm
Yeah.
way old. Okay. And how tall are you?
5'10".
Bullshit, you're 5'6".
Yo.
I just have that I have that feeling that you're like a little midget. You can't be no. Okay. So you're 5'6" and you're 25.
I'm 5'10", but yeah, okay. At 25, yes.
All right. This guy is pride. Oh shit! I'm getting roasted. Look at this. This Arsenal.
Yes, I'm 25, 5'10". 25,
Okay.
5'10". All right. What else you got
All right,
for
now
me
let's
for
get back
hockey?
into the Mitch Marner.
Okay.
Mitch Marner's got to be a little bit more cunty. He's got to be a little bit more cunty to his game, where he gets into the mix and he just pushes and shoves. He doesn't have to drop the gloves, but he's got to do something, man. Points and assists and goals, whatever. Yeah, but when you're getting paid that much, like basically 11 million, you gotta do something. You have to. This guy's looking for a date. Yo, JW, I complimented you earlier. I'm not looking for a date. I'm married. I got kids, bro. We're good. Damn, I'm getting roasted. This is in Grinder. What color are your eyes? Are you single? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, I mean, like Vincent said, like I think, yeah, for me, like I think I said what I need to say about Marner, and it's not really like I'm not trying to pick on him here tonight. It's more just like that second line hasn't been good enough now. Like they're contributing here and there. They're having some good games. I would agree with that. I don't have a problem saying that. It's more just like Marner hasn't been great this season. Whatever line he's been playing on hasn't really been rocking to the extent that you'd expect or hope out of them. I don't think he's been good enough this year. I want to get him going on a more consistent basis. That's kind of the problem there. And I know people will point to the points that he has. there's no denying the points. Like they're there, he's got them, but you can easily look to the contributions of the game. That's just kind of where I'm at with it, where it's not being the player that we've seen in the past. That's all. That's all I'll say with that. But like I'm kind of just off the. I think that's all I have for the Marner stuff here tonight.
All right. Well, yo, I'm getting roasted off of the call. I'm on NyQuil big time, and no whiskey tonight, by the way, no whiskey. So
Just the NyQuil. The NyQuil hits different.
it does, and I'm getting absolutely shitted on, which is great. I love it. I love it. As long as they give respect to you, that's all that matters. So I want you to have a
I appreciate
fantastic
that.
night. I gotta go to sleep, buddy, and I man, go Leafs, go.
Go Leafs, go. I appreciate you calling in. Appreciate you taking the time. And Dylan, feel better, man.
Thanks, buddy. See you later,
All
chat.
right.
Talk to you at the same time,
See
but
you later.
I hope everybody's good.
All right, there you go. Thank you, Dylan. Appreciate it. There you go. First call of the night. Dylan, yeah, it took an interesting turn at the end there. I think the NyQuil started to get to him, but nonetheless, we do appreciate him calling in and giving some thoughts on the situation. Again, like I'm not trying to nag on Marner. I don't think that this is a loss on him. I just need more from that second line. I need more contributions from them. I just need them to be. I need them to be a little bit better. That's what it is. That's what it is for me. He's a line driver like Mig's saying, and right now he's not. Yeah, and like at $11 million, that's the problem for me. If he's being paid 8.5, 9 million, even the view of him and his production and stuff then is much different. Like it just becomes significantly different. But as it is right now, he's being paid 10.93. You're being paid to do a lot more than what you're doing. That's my thought on it. I also saw in the chat there. I keep holding back these sneezes. Just in the nick of time. This chat is awesome. Yes, this chat does rock. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate that. If you're here right now and you haven't already, please again hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel, turn on notifications. Let's get it pumped up. Let's continue to grow this thing. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers by Christmas. And if not by Christmas, then whatever. Whenever we get to 1,000, maybe I won't do 2 eggs, but I'll drink 1 egg for you guys on stream if that's what you really want. If that's what you really want, then we can do that. So make sure to subscribe here. I do appreciate that. We'll take calls. We're taking calls here. Trying to get to the chat as much as possible. Continue to dig into everything you guys are saying. Continue to break down your thoughts as well, and we'll bounce back and forth. I'm happy with that, but let's hit the animation, get to our next caller.
We're gonna have to go right to ludicrous speed.
Prepare ship for ludicrous speed.
All right. He's thankfully been frequenting here a little bit more. I hadn't seen him in a little bit. Came over from the other channel, finally found us. Then he called in, I think, around the beginning of when we started doing the streams here again, when it was like 8 people on the stream. So now we've built our way back up at least past that. So we're starting to get things rocking here again on the channel. I do appreciate all the support. But now over the last couple of weeks, he's been a frequent caller. That will be our man, Alex A. Alex, welcome to the call. Welcome to the stream. How's it going, buddy?
It's going pretty well besides the Leafs loss. But other than that, great day. Last day of work for the break here. So, yeah, other than that, pretty good.
Oh, last day before the break, right? I forgot about that. My schedule, especially with doing all this online YouTube content and stuff like that and covering sports, it's like it feels like there's no break. I love it, so I'm not complaining, but it's been the weirdest, trippiest kind of break for me ever. First one on my own, I'm living on my own, trying to figure things out from that standpoint, and mixed in with just working right up until like the day before and then the days after. Feels like it's going to be the fastest holiday season ever, but I'm glad you're getting some time off here.
Yeah, until the 2nd of January, so until the new year. So okay. It's
wow,
definitely rewarding.
Yeah.
So I'll be on the streams a lot. Don't you worry. I'll be on the streams a lot.
Perfect.
For all the viewers here and everything. I love giving my input and hearing your takes too. So that's fantastic.
Thank you. Do appreciate that. Well, I mean, what do you got for us here tonight? What's going on? What are your thoughts?
Well, I was really optimistic about this game because, we had a good game against the Rangers last week, and
Yeah.
we didn't live up to it today. I thought, you know, I thought we played okay for a bit, but like it just wasn't. I don't know. Like it was just that it was Matthews. It was Matthews in that first line going, and like you were saying with Dylan before, that was really it. The second line wasn't really contributing. They didn't look great at all. They were what minus? You said -2 or was it -1? I can't remember what you said. The second
-2.
line was.
So the first line was +1. They scored 2, so they were on for 2 goals for, 1 goal against. The second line was -2, and then the fourth line was -1. That's how that broke
Okay.
out.
Yeah. It's just I'm getting like frustrated myself at just watching like yeah, you see Nylander go to the first line and now the first line's clicking like you were saying with Dylan and honestly like I don't know what it is. Like, do we need to switch it up again? Or like do we want to keep Matthews and Nylander and like maybe that second line's Marner's gotta go to that third line with Domi? Because as example, I know it was the Pittsburgh Penguins, but they had some chemistry there. So does Keefe go back to that and try it? Or does he have too much of an ego to actually go to the third line and he's gonna bitch about it? Like who knows? You know what I mean? And I love Marner, but he hasn't lived up to expectations. We all can agree on that. And like I said, I'm a big fan of Marner, but man, like he's gotta turn it around, like, or else it's gonna be trade rumor after trade rumor, especially with this contract coming up. So that's what I think personally, but shoot.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, you and I will talk about it here. I was trying to find his like game his I saw a tweet that said his game logs of his expected goals over the last little while, because the one thing that I keep dealing with is people being like, well, he's got points, but the problem is it's not necessarily the point production, right? And it's you're watching him out there, and yeah, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, hey, this is a guy who scored 99 points. This is a guy who can do these magical things, like they call him Magic Mitch or whatever whatever it is you want to call him, and he can score these between the legs goals and stuff. I agree with that, and I agree that there's probably an element of luck missing from his game, but I also think that the in-between things right now for him are missing. I don't know if it is the effort. I don't know if it's intensity. I don't know if maybe he's just not having a good season. Like, that happens with guys too. Here's the thing for me. First of all, he could have made himself like a hero in Toronto if he took less money on that last contract. If he signed here in Toronto as the hometown kid who was this guy who could put up crazy points as a winger and do these magical things, he would immediately become a guy on this team and in this city who was beloved. He would have been a hero to people in Toronto. He decided not to go that route. And look, every player has the right to go and get as much money as they want to. That's what he chose to do, and that was the path he went down. But that doesn't mean that the fans have to love that. And that doesn't mean that the fans have to respect that. They didn't. They didn't really seem to like that, and that kind of became a divisive thing here in the city. A lot of this obviously became something that was bigger than just Marner. It was his dad, his camp, his agents, whatever you want to put it on, whatever you want to call it. But it became very clear here, Alex, that him and his camp's ego would not allow him to take less money than the 10.93 that he received. So to your point, his ego would take such a shot to go down to the third line. I don't think he would ever do it. I don't think he would accept it, and I think it would become a massive problem in the room. Now, I see a comment in the chat about our guy Spen there saying Marner on third line is nuts. I disagree. And the reason I disagree is because when you have a player like that, you need them to be playing and in the flow of the game, I think, to get things going and kind of kickstart themselves back into something. I don't think Mitch Marner is necessarily the type of player who needs to be sat down and skipped for half a period, a full period, or whatever. Oftentimes, I reference when Barry Trotz got to Washington, he looked at Alex Ovechkin, who, by the way, at that point in time, and probably throughout his career, has been and was a much better player than Mitch Marner in the overall impact of the game. I don't think that's crazy to say, Alex. I don't know. You can call me out if I'm wrong, but like, think about when Barry Trotz got to Washington. Alex Ovechkin, his impact on a game versus Mitch Marner here right now. I think Alex Ovechkin was a much more important player to that team. Barry Trotz got there and said, you won't play defense? Sit your ass down. You won't block shots? You won't back check? Sit your ass down. And he would sit him down and basically put him in a spot where he would say, you want to get back on the ice? You love scoring goals so much, commit to playing every other aspect of this game. And Alex Ovechkin eventually bought into the system, bought into doing all that to the point that he basically just was this driving force to a Washington Capitals Stanley Cup ring. I'm not saying Mitch Marner is in need of adding these other pieces to his game. We know he can play well defensively. He thinks about all these other things. But every now and then you could use a little kick in the ass and say, get going and figure something out here. And you can't just continue to play a guy if they're not doing the things that it takes to win. It's a wake-up call, like Vincent's saying. You can't send him to the minors. You're not going to do that. I don't think scratching him is the right answer. But the problem that lies here is if you send this guy to the third line, I think he's just going to pout. Remember what happened last year when Sheldon Keefe called him out and said he wasn't playing well enough? He effectively came out. Sheldon Keefe, that is, had to come back out and apologize and walk back his comments because Marner was upset with the fact that he got called out, which should never happen in an NHL locker room. The other thing to this would be, I was listening to Jeff O'Neill on Overdrive. He was saying that when he was playing as a top six player, if he wasn't playing well and doing the right things, Paul Maurice would play him on the third line. And it was a wake-up call to say, like, hey, get going here. You need to do things the right way. You need to, like, play hockey the smart way. So I agree. I think moving him down would be best, and it's a good wake-up call. You're not sending too much of a drastic message, but you pair him back up with Domi. I think that that's a good thing. Järnkrok can hop up into the top six. We've seen him have success. You're not changing things up here like a drastic amount. The first line can stay. You move Järnkrok to the second line. You move Marner to the third line. I think it can give things a good shake. You kind of take some minutes away from Marner to say, like, hey, you're not completely deserving of being out there consistent, like every single shift, but I don't know. That's a long-winded way Alex is saying I agree with you, but I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, so I agree with what you're saying. To go with what you're saying, the thing about him playing the third line that you didn't mention, which I think you'll agree, is if he's playing the third line, the minutes are lower, and him with Domi and having different line mates, it'll wake him up. Hopefully, the thing is that to consider people is actually he will be versing. How do I say it in a nicer way? But lesser competition. Like he's not versing first and second line guys. Third line, fourth line guys. Yeah. So like Mitch Marner, maybe he starts cooking a bit with Domi, builds some chemistry, and then he gets his confidence up. Maybe he gets in the groove of things, like you were just saying, in the flow, and there you go. Yeah. And then Mitch Marner hopefully can be the kind of player we know he can be. And it's not bad to have three lines rolling. Like even if it's not a permanent thing, at least you can fall back to it in the playoffs, because like then you can know, oh shoot, like we're running two lines and our third line's getting cooked. We can't score right now. All right, let's throw Marner there and have the depth of three lines that can score, and I guess that balance out the defense more, right? If you have Domi, Marner, and Robertson, okay, but like you get what I mean. Like the idea of like having three lines that can score, and then you can have, I guess, two lines that could be more, two-way lines, right? Especially like, the first line, how Matthews is defensively responsible and whatnot. So I think just as a whole, like, I don't know. I think the personal thing, in my opinion, is like what you had said about Marner, like last year when Keefe called him out and then he had to apologize. I wonder if that's because of just what Marner said that he apologized, or if upper management gave him shit. I wonder if it's an organizational thing, or if it's just Keefe being soft like Marner. I wonder. It's one of the two. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not in the organization, but that's just my speculation, especially from what you said, which kind of rung a bell in my head.
Well, to your point, just quickly here as well, and I'll let you continue on it, is what else happens if he goes on the third line? It's not just good for him, because he can go out there against maybe some lesser competition, maybe get some confidence back or whatever. Do you know how hard that becomes for an opposing team to match three lines like that when Mitch Marner is playing on the third line? Like 100%. You look over the boards and you're like, well, We got our number one defensive line going out there against the first unit, and that's Matthews and Nylander and Nyes, and they're going to shut them down. We got our second defensive unit going out there, and they're going to take out the second line of John Tavares, like 1,000-point John Tavares, Tyler Bertuzzi, and Calle Yarncroke. And then now you're going to have to go against Max Domi, Nick Robertson, and Mitch Marner on the third pairing. Like, it's going to be so hard for other teams to kind of figure that out and be able to, like, match with that and actually go head-to-head in their line matching of some of this stuff. But, I mean, also 6 1/3 saying all this Marner abuse is too much. I don't think this is abuse at all. You're kind of talking about the fact that he has not been good this year. Like, he has not been good this year. That's flat out, he has not been.
He's not been himself. Straight up.
He's not been himself. He's not been himself. That's probably the best way to put it, Alex. Thank you. He's not been himself, and he hasn't figured it out. And I think the problem is, you say eventually it'll get there. You're in 30 games
30
now.
games in.
So if you're going to be paid $10.93 million, at some point you've got to get things going. And yeah, Spen, I know, like, what we're saying, the premise of it, he's not playing like the best player, and every now and then you have to like kick a guy a little bit to say, get going, like, figure things out. And I think that that's probably a way to do it, because right now, as it is, you're just rewarding the guy for being mediocre compared to his own standards.
Oh, exactly.
That's
really well said. I agree 100%. And I think, like, yeah, we're not being very, like, I think we're being critical of him, but I think rightfully so. And it's like I said at the beginning, the first thing I said to you was that I love Marner, and, I think he's a great player, but, like you were talking with Dylan, it's just, like, maybe it's not the effort's not there. And also, like, he's not that kind of gritty player, as you were saying, or just have that tenacity, right? That you're not asking him to go punch a guy in the face and try and knock him the hell out. It's more of just, hey, like, some guy's gonna push you, just show some resistance. And like you said, you have guys on the team like Bertuzzi, you got Domi, you have guys that will, McCabe, you have guys that will, that will stick up for you and stuff. So, like, I don't know why they're playing so soft when Brad Tree Living is literally trying to build a more physical, grittier team. I don't even know if I'd say physical. I guess physical, but you know what I mean. Like, has that edge that he calls it snot.
Team.
That's what he calls it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just a tougher team.
And
doesn't
people
mean we're
confuse
blowing
toughness,
the brakes off.
by the way. Right. And people confuse toughness, just quickly to jump in on it, as, like, people confuse toughness with, like, oh, it's got to be someone who beats the shit out of everyone when they're on the ice. That's what you want, and it's like, no. But when Marner's getting face washed and getting bullied, or Matthews is getting put in a headlock, all I'm saying is maybe throw a punch back once, because guess what? The guy on the other end is Steven Stamkos, not, like, Todd Bertuzzi. Like, you're not looking at the meanest guy to ever put on skates. You're looking at Steven Stamkos, like, stick up for yourself. That kind of thing. That's what we're saying when we're saying toughness, is, like, don't be scared. Don't disappear in big games. Just don't be afraid of going in the corner. That's kind of where I'm at.
Exactly. And, like, as you said, Steven Stamkos, perfect example. Playoffs last year when, he got into it with Matthews. Wasn't a full, like, it was a shitty fight, as we all know. But you know what I'm saying? Like, where he just showed some resistance, and, he showed he was involved and dialed in. Like, it wasn't like, it wasn't any crazy fight. He didn't knock him out or anything. It was just like, it was that edge he had. Like, that's all it was. It wasn't anything crazy, but, you don't see these guys doing this. The only guy I saw doing it was not tonight. I don't really know if I noticed this as much, but the other night with Matthew Nyes, right, when that happened to Domi on the board. So, like, that's more of what we need to see. I'm not saying beat the brakes out of everyone this game, every game, but, show it. Like, show it. That's all it is. I'm asking you to show it. That's all I'm asking.
Well, also in 6 1/3 saying AM34 did just that against Stammer. I know. I just called him out for it. Like, that's exactly what I just did. He's on the hook for that too. That toughness that's being talked about. But the thing is, like, looking at him right now through this regular season, he's got 25 goals. He's being paid 11. He's leading the league. He's on pace for, like, almost 70 goals. Like, there, in terms of that, he's being a difference maker each time he goes out there. And I agree that, yeah, he's got to be a little bit better on a consistency basis, but he had like the first really slow stretch of his entire career this season where he had a 1 goal in like 9 games or whatever it was. I think in general, he's got to be a little bit tougher, but I'm like, right now with the conversation, and I did just call him out for it, but like with Vincent, what he's saying, because people are getting mad that we're talking about Marner and that stuff, is like, Vincent brought up a decent point here. Truthfully, he said if we don't talk about Marner, there's not much to talk about tonight. Tonight's game, nobody's fault. We lost to a top team. Couple things, we did lose to a top team. That Rangers team is very good. I really strongly believe they're a very good team. So you lose that game. It's tough, but you played a great game against them last time. I don't think you played very poorly tonight. My whole point is just like, this is not on Martin Jones. There were some defensive breakdowns that led to some of this stuff, and some of that was on the forwards that were out there with them. And I'm just kind of looking at some of these guys, and it didn't feel like Tavares, Bertuzzi, and Marner were overly effective offensively. I don't know if that's because the Rangers tried to suffocate them, but when you look at the way that they played and you look at the production of the first line, there was clearly a drop-off. First line put up 2, and the second line didn't have any here tonight. I think in these top games, your top guys have to show up. They just do. Zibanejad scores. Your top D and one of your top D and Schneider scores over on the other end. That people in this chat love to talk about Schneider. He scores over there. Zibanejad, Panarin, they score goals. Like, Lafreniere scores. Regardless of how you want to look at them, whether they were lucky or not, their guys scored. Only Matthews did here tonight. Nylander assists, like, that's kind of what I'm talking about. These guys in the secondaries just didn't have that much of a great night. Outside of that, it's not like I'm looking at this game tonight saying this was a piss poor game. That's really all there is. I don't know. Like, did you have a different perspective of tonight here, Alex?
No, not at all. I don't know if I came in the stream like acting like I thought the game was poorly played. It was more just the way I can think about it after you explaining what you thought. I think what happened tonight is, like you said, the second line needs to be better. And I think what caused us to lose, I think tonight wasn't poor, like I said. It's more of just little things that can be fixed. Like some of those tips off, like whose skate was it? Was it Lagesson or was it Liljegren? It was one of them where it went in the net. There was another one off Riley. Yeah, like it was. How to explain it? Those were unfortunate bounces, but still, like, you put yourself in a bad position where you're not. I don't know, like it could deflect off you. You got to consider that, right? And then your goalie, like as example, the one shot from Riley. I'm not blaming just Riley because I think Riley actually had a pretty good game out of all the Leafs players. I think he was pretty effective, got the assist on the Matthews goal, and he stopped some great chances in our own zone. Like he had that one where he dove and blocked that shot, or not that shot, that pass. I can't remember who it was between, but the two guys were trying to cross crease it, and he blocked that, and it was beautiful. But
yeah,
I think he was good, and like I said, I think it's just little things, like some of those little defensive errors in the forwards, like I think it's just little things from this game. I don't think it's like people think that we're talking like we need to blow things up and trade a bunch of people. That's not what we're saying at all. We're just saying that
you can't really anyways. Yeah, right? Like they're pretty locked in most of this.
No, I agree. I'm just saying that the way people come in here and be like, oh, these guys are just yapping about Marner. Oh, they want to trade him. Oh, it's all his fault. No, that's not what we're saying at all. Just we're trying to harp on the players saying that they could be better and, talking about, certain things that we noticed in the game that, okay, like the coach should be going over and the coach should be, trying to implement better systems. But like we've talked before, and someone in the chat said this the last couple streams, and I never got to you about this, but they kept saying, oh, you guys aren't harping Keefe. You guys aren't saying anything about Keefe. You guys are letting him off the hook this year. No, still, screw Keefe. I don't think he's been very good this year still. But right now, I don't know what else. What are we going to do? He's not going to get fired, in my opinion. Unless shit really hits the fan.
Unless
because
they go on like a
the Stars bail him out.
Losing streak.
Yeah, exactly. The Stars bail him out. No matter what, there'll be a game where Matthews pulls up 2 goals and Nylander probably pots 1 or 2, and then the depth scores, and then there you go. There's Keefe. Look, he still has his job. That's what's happening. And my dad says it every time. He's like, my dad hates Keefe. He hates him. Like with the passion.
So
he's
mine.
Like, that coach is a bum. Your dad exactly. They hate him, man. And I tried to be optimistic with them over the years, throughout the COVID bubble and all that. And I was like, all right, like, give the guy a chance. And then just no, like he's soft. He's soft too. And, yeah, I can't just take that soft crap. And I think the whole soft narrative comes also from the coach too, like you had said before. I think you said this in a stream where you said like he neutered who was it, Bertuzzi, Reeves, and all this stuff.
It
I
felt
don't know
like
if
he
it was you,
did,
maybe it was
right? At the beginning of the season. I
yeah, at
did
the
say
beginning of
that,
the season.
yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty. I do
Yeah.
remember that. It was you that said that. Yeah. It was you that said that, and I agreed 100%. I told my dad that. He's like, yeah, he's like, I agree. He's like, I couldn't agree more. He's like, what the heck? He's like, these guys are supposed to be, that those snotty kind of players, those physical guys. And he's like, where are they? He's like, I'm like, yeah, he's basically neutered. That's what I told my dad.
Yeah, it just felt like they weren't allowed to do that stuff because like the thing is people kept saying like my beef with it was people were looking at these guys and being like, why didn't Ryan Reeves jump out there after Liljegren? Why didn't Bertuzzi go and do this? Why didn't he do that? It's like, well, on every other team that they've ever been on, they would have gotten the nod from the coach to say like,
Go beat the shit out of him or do something.
yeah, like go and do this, or if they weren't on the ice already, they would have gotten the hey,
Next
you're
shift.
allowed to do something here the next shift, or go do this the next shift. And it's like watching these guys from. I mean, it feels like a little bit different now, and I think that the players had something to do with that, and I think that the new players on this team specifically had something to do with that, where they said, like, yeah, we're not doing this, like, we're not just standing by anymore. You have to let us respond, because after that, it was like the players were going fucking prison break out there on the ice. Like someone would get touched and someone would jump somebody, and you're going, oh my god, I've never seen this here in Toronto. Which obviously, like, we have, but it's been like Colton Orr and Fraser McLaren kind of days.
Yeah.
But I think to start, we were seeing that because people were getting mad at those guys and being like, why didn't they do something? You bring in toughness and nothing happens. Like, I'm listening to Jonas Siegel crying about this.
Oh,
It's like,
fuck.
well, I think that maybe this is a top-down situation from coaching, not from the front office, at least that is. So, yeah, interesting stuff there, but I'm probably on the same page as you with Keefe and everything there. I don't know. As far as this game goes, it's an interesting one. I mean, obviously this post game diverged into a lot of other different topics rather than just
The game.
the game. Yeah, because like this
It was
game
it was
a
topics off
weird
of the
one.
game that continued into
Yeah.
other things.
Exactly. But Alex, let's get to a couple things here to finish the show. I have these every single stream. If people are new here, then you're going to get to see them for the first time. So you guys can participate in the chat. You send them in there and you let me know what you think, how you feel, whatever it is. But relative to the conversation going on. But that's our play of the game and our grade of the game. And Alex, I want you to have an opportunity to be on here with me for this. So get to that. But before we do, I want to remind people, if you're watching right now, you haven't already, hit that like button here on the stream right now. Subscribe to the channel. I do appreciate all the support. There's also a couple super chats, so I'll get to those right now. But like the channel, subscribe to the channel. Does help a lot. Trying to get to 1,000. And turn on notifications so you get notified. But, I mean, we'll get to these here first, Alex. I apologize, but we'll get to these first. Super chat. JW celebrate their 5th super on a live stream. I appreciate that. I appreciate you for doing that here on this stream. So thank you very much. JW saying Keefe should have been fired 3 years ago. Hashtag fire Keefe. Oh, well,
3 years
Keefe
ago
was hired, I think, only 4 years ago, so that would have been 1 year into his tenure. Obviously, that was Dubas who loved him and wanted him around here. He's Dubas's guy. Dubas brought him up, and he was with the Marlies, wins a championship, and then they bring him here. So, I mean, 3 years ago, maybe a little bit aggressive, but JW, I feel your frustration. Alex, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but before every single one of my streams starts, as soon as I sit down on my computer, there's already comments in the chat. Do you know what they are?
No, I don't actually.
They are comments from our guy JW, and they say hashtag fire Keefe. That is it. They
Oh.
just say hashtag fire Keefe every single game, every single live stream. Penguins beat them 7-0. Hashtag fire Keefe in the chat. So JW is on it. Not a fan of Sheldon Keefe. I get it. Another super chat here. Well, Jeff McKay, thank you again for the super chat. I do appreciate that. Looks like we're still on the Sheldon Keefe train. Jeff says Sheldon is not just soft. He never adapts to any situation. It's always, oh, that's not working. Okay, keep trying. Maybe the 10th time will work. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened with the softness of this. It's really strange because, like, it didn't feel like that was the problem until this year where you, like, legitimately had these guys who have these tough snot bones in their body, and you had a guy above them like Brad Treliving bring these guys in to be that way. You know what I mean, Alex? Like, in years past, it's not like we ever had these real gritty guys around the team. It was Dennis Malgin and Nick Ritchie and et cetera, et cetera.
Simmons is the only one in Clifford, but
yeah, but even at that point, he was kind of like past his point in time where he was really making an impact. And I'm not even talking about just like fighters. It's more just that hey, getting a scrum, stick up for guys, whatever, like net front stuff.
Effective guys that are gritty.
Right.
Basically.
Right. So it was like beyond that point now. And then it was, I never really had that thought in my head of like, oh, he's soft and he's neutering these guys. It was this year when you're looking at 27, 28-year-old guys who are playing on your second and third line, who are gritty guys, who create shit in front of the net. And like Bertuzzi goes out there and goes to the front of the net and gets in some scrums. And next thing you know, like he's being sat on the bench. Now, obviously some of his play wasn't really there at that point in time, but it was also like, okay, like nobody ever on this team has had the balls to go out there and do that, and now he's being punished. Domi, same situation. He goes in the doghouse and he's doing some gritty stuff. Reeves goes, he fights, he's in the doghouse. I'm kind of sitting here going, what the hell is happening? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are we watching where all these guys who are tough are just not being tough, and now they're being sat, and what is happening? That was when I started to think, okay, maybe he's neutering these guys, and then all of a sudden you see the players go into the office and be like, we're not going to do this. They have the meeting, they have the whole thing, and they're like, yeah, well, we're not going to allow players to do that. And now all of a sudden these guys are gung-ho with, like, beating people's brains in. You got Matthew Nyes fighting guys for his first career fight. Like, the switchover was very, very quick. You heard that there was a lot of management that was involved. I imagine Shanny and these guys were in there. So maybe they told Keefe, like, let him sling it. I don't know. But in terms of the other part that was brought up, I don't know if you have anything to say on that, Alex, but it's just kind of like in terms of the struggling with situations, I agree. And you see him in the playoffs. It seems like more than anything, it's not like, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. He just overthinks it, and then and he's not even like anymore competing against like John Cooper or Paul Maurice. Like, he's competing against himself, and he's fighting against himself every time he goes out there, where it's like all of a sudden the lines are changed like crazy, and you've got fourth lines taking offensive zone draws, and like guys are in the wrong spots. You've got the wrong D pairs. You're like, what the fuck are we doing? And then next thing you know, the puck's in your net, and then the fourth line's back out there because they're trying to get a defensive play, and then the puck's in your net again, and then your team scores, and then the fourth line's out there again. You're like, oh my God, and now you're in a hole. I think he overthinks it, and he's coaching against himself, but I went on another long answer there, Alex. I apologize. You had to sit through that. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that super chat there or the comments on Keefe.
No, you're good. Yeah, no, I can agree with that. Like, example, like, when you look, I know the Pittsburgh game, like, people are going to say, well, we smoked and Pittsburgh hasn't been good. Okay. But there was still some positive take out of that game. Not just the not letting any goals in. That's fantastic. But, I mean, in the sake of when we saw, like, look at what happened when you gave Domi some minutes, and Domi was with, you know, not that Domi's with bad players in the third line, but, you know, when he played with Marner, like we said, he cooked. And I'm not saying it's going to happen every game, but I feel like Keefe, just because of his advanced analytics of like Domi not being the best defensive player, I think he gets so scared sometimes to use him in certain situations where it's like, man, like you're overthinking it a little too much. Like, he's got like Domi's an effective player. I'm not just saying Domi, but like that line's not bad. Like, I don't know what I see people on Twitter saying, oh, you know, we need to get a third line, two-way center or whatnot. Like, what are people complaining about? We complain about no depth scoring. We get depth scoring, then we complain about it. So I don't know what people want. Me and you seem like we're on the same page. So that's great. I'm speaking to someone that's not delusional like that. But I mean, it's like just
or we're the delusional ones. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah. Maybe we're the delusional ones. Maybe the chat will let us know that. But I mean, like it's just it makes me want to pull my hair out when I see Keefe just like he's just so annoying. Like then he puts I don't know what Domi's ice time has been like averaging, but I know like he just favors the stars too much, doesn't play his depth. And I saw someone, I can't remember who was on TSN or I think it was TSN, and they were speaking. It was a former player. He played for the Penguins. I cannot remember his name right now. He used to play
Frankie
for the Penguins.
Corrado.
Yes, I think yes. And he was speaking about like how when you play those like let's say Mitch Marner, Matthews, and you obviously got to play those guys the most on your team, but when you're overplaying them and the other guys in your team, like I remember, I don't know if it's been like this now. I have to check Nice's like ice time, but I know he's been on the first line. But there was times where like Keefe was cutting his minutes a bunch. He was playing like 14 minutes a night, and like why?
Yeah.
Unless he's having a bunch of turnovers and getting a bunch of penalties or whatnot, like sure, reward like he deserves that. But I mean, there was games where I'm seeing him effective, and I'm like, why am I not seeing Nyes out here much? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that as an example. One player. There's so many other players where it's like you're not giving them the opportunity to succeed. You're giving them limited minutes, and then you're wondering why they're having a hard time getting going because they're not getting the opportunity to get going. You're giving them 10 minutes a night, 11, 12 minutes a night, where like these guys. I'm not saying play your fourth liners 17, 18 minutes a night, but I'm talking more like your depth third line guys that, are effective players. They can score goals. We've seen them score goals. We've seen them play well in games. I watched them. I went to the Vancouver Canucks game that we played. I was there in the building. The two fights, that was a fantastic game. Like that was one of our best games this season for sure. And, Robertson scored in that game. I told my dad before the game, Robertson and Nyes are scoring. He's like, okay. He's like, sure. I don't think both of them are scoring. Both of them scored. And we brought
Did you bet on
my
it?
cousin. No, I didn't bet on it. No, I should have. If I put a parlay on that, that would have been so nice. I had a feeling. But yeah, and we brought my cousins that immigrated here years ago. So we brought them to we bring them Leafs games all the time and they love it. So I'm like, watch number 23 and 89, and then they score and they're all hyped up. But yeah, so talking about the game, what do you call it? The actual ice time. Yeah, like I think it just needs to be like, especially in a cup winning team, if you want to be a contender, you got to have your lines all rolling, especially three lines, especially. You need to have guys, like we said, we need three lines that could score, and you need to utilize these players because playing Domi and them 11 minutes a night, you're not going to get much production or not as much as you could, maybe 15 or 14 minutes a night. You know what I mean? That's more of where I believe,
especially
the
like
TSN analyst was speaking
it's an
about.
82 game season.
Exactly.
Like
you don't
in the
want to overwork them.
playoffs, yeah, sure. Grind those guys to the ground throughout a long playoff run. Not like you're obviously not trying to play these guys 27, 28 minutes a night like every game in the playoffs. You obviously want your depth to contribute and be factors in a game, but like that's when they're most important and that's when you pay them the money for. That's when they should be saved up for having that. It's 82 game regular season, guys. Like I'm not saying you here or even the chat. The chat I think mostly agrees with us. I'm talking more about like the Leafs coaching staff is like, guys, like let Max Domi play some more minutes or whatever. Like it's the Rangers on a Tuesday in Toronto. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like let these guys go. But I agree with you for sure. We did hit 50 likes here on the stream. I appreciate it. Mark reminds me. So if you guys are new to the stream or you're watching this back after and you don't know what's happening right now, every 50 likes, 50, 100, 150, we bring out the smelling salts. So thank you guys. This is a tradition that was brought out on stream last year, Alex, I think. I think it was last year.
I think it was last year.
But,
pretty sure it was last year. I recall. Yeah.
Yeah. So we do these now. You get 50, 100, 150. We bring these out. I do appreciate it. Thanks for hitting that like button. Cheers to everyone in the chat.
Everyone like and subscribe while Zach does these smelling salts. Let's go, boys.
All right.
Those are
Thank
brutal,
you.
Zach.
Thanks for the plug, Alex. Yeah, it's shocking. That's for sure. All right. Thanks for liking the stream. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. I appreciate it. Alex, I told you we got to get to some segments. Let's start here. We didn't talk too much about the game tonight, so let's close it out with the game here tonight. Let's get to the play of the game. All right, play of the game. Everyone in the chat as well, please send your play of the game. This The whole point of this stream, this channel, is to involve the people who watch these. This is not just about me sitting here and yapping away about these games, especially the games. The other stuff, the videos and all that, I'll make those videos. I'll talk about the things I'm seeing and thinking and all that. Those come out on the channel. They're just pre-recorded. They get put out. You guys get to watch them at your own leisure. The post-game stuff, the live streams, the watch-alongs, this is meant to be interactive. You are as much a part of this as I am. This is all of us together. That's why we take calls. That's why people like Alex and Dylan and Joe and Andrew and everyone else calls into this show. Luca, these guys call in because you're a part of this channel as much as I am. Even if you're not on camera or whatever, I do appreciate that. So tell me in the chat, what is your play of the game here tonight? And Alex, go to you first before myself here. What is your play of the game?
It's definitely one of the Matthews goals. They're both really good. But someone said in the chat, honestly, I think, yeah, I can agree. That Riley pass to Matthews for that first goal was fantastic. I'll probably put that there. This close second's definitely the second Matthews goal. I really like the second one too, but that pass was filthy for sure.
Yeah, I have a hard time disagreeing. I think that play was awesome. Bertuzzi gets it out of the zone, kind of gets that puck up. Matthews goes and pressures the guy along the wall, chips it out into the middle, and then Riley comes flying through, joins the rush, grabs that thing, drives outside, draws attention to himself there, and as he draws guys across, dips that one back to Matthews, who, as we know, like this guy just finds perfect ways to kind of get himself lost in the offensive zone, which is honestly one of the most incredible things ever, because you look at a guy who could score 50, 60 goals any given season, and to think that the other team finds ways to lose him on a shift. Yeah, like, you know how impressive that is as a player, an offensive player of that caliber, to do and get yourself in that spot. He's been on a different level this year right now, like 25 through 29. It's not even Christmas. We got 2 games until Christmas here. It's insanity what he's up to. But that Riley pass, the Riley drive, it was amazing. I'm going to go with the second goal that he scored, though, where he goes short side on Shesterkin. Again, finds himself a way to get lost in the offensive zone, creeps into just a soft spot in the defense, and then McCabe, who I don't know how in the hell no one on the ice pressured him, but he just stands there with all the time in the world and then dishes to Matthews into the slot, who gets a puck, rips it, short side on Shesterkin. This is 2 games against the Rangers, and he's got 4 goals against them. And I'm sure everyone's seen the clip here now, Alex. I don't know. I'm sure you have as well. Before the season, they asked him, what goalie's got your number and who do you want to have this season? He said Shesterkin. Like, he's got the best of them. First game, 2 goals. Second game, 2 goals. This guy's out of his mind. 25 goals in 28 games. Like, the team's played 29. He's only played 28. He's got 25 goals. That's some insane stuff from Austin Matthews right now. And that second goal, like, was not deflected. He just ripped corner.
Just sniped it.
That was amazing. Yeah. That's going to be my play of the game. We got one more thing to get to here, and I'm looking forward to everyone in the chat. Let's do our grades of the game.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
All right. Again, as always, fire away in the chat. I want to see what everyone has to say. But Alex, go to you first. What's your grade of the game?
It's tough. Like we said, they didn't play amazing, but they didn't play horrible. There were some positives to take, like for some of the plays. I'll give it. It's definitely between a B and a B minus. I think I'll give him a B. We'll be a little generous. Give him a B.
I think I'm right there with you at a B. Like, part of me wants to even go higher, but then part of me wants to go lower. It's like you hit the 5-2 and it feels on the score sheet, and it feels like it taking away in your head that you're at a much worse game than it was. But it's like the 5th goal was an empty netter.
Yep.
I mean, also, the 5th goal, by the way, was pretty shitty extra man work by the Leafs. If you go back and watch it, like, there was no ability to possess the puck. It felt like they were slapping it around. They're making bad passes. Like, everyone on the ice was, not just the guys from the second line. Like, Matthews, Nylander were involved in that as well. It was sloppy. It was not good. But that's what leads to the 5th goal, the empty netter. Outside of that, you're looking at the first goal that goes off of Zibanejad's skate up into the air, comes, lands down 5 feet to the left of where Jones thought it was going to be, or probably even more than where he thought it was going to be, goes in. Then you look at the second goal. Lafreniere hits Riley, hits him and goes in. Also, Riley probably got to commit to the block on that one a little bit better to be a little bit more square to it so that doesn't happen. That being said, that puck was also probably going like 4 feet wide. So it's like a little nitpicky on Riley. He's got to be a little bit more square, but also, you know what I mean? Like, it was going so wide.
You can't blame
like,
Riley, though, for... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like it's also going so wide. So I don't even blame Jones there either. Third goal, Schneider goal, that one was bad. That was bad by the offense.
Yeah.
That was bad by the defenders on the ice. I really think Jones is going to want to have that one back, but I also understand what happened. Everyone thought that puck was going upstairs, including the shooter, and just somehow it didn't. It just stayed on the ice. He fans on it, goes 5-hole. It sucks. It's a soft one. It's a weak one. He wants it back 100%. I get that. And he should want that one back. But then it's like fourth goal, Panarin off the skate in. That thing was going well wide too. And then fifth goal, empty net. Outside of that, I don't think they played terrible. Again, coming back to this, I want that. I want more from that second line. I just want more from them. I'm not saying they're playing bad. I just want more from them. I will give it a B. I'm fine with leaving it there. Alex, before we get you out of here, any final thoughts, any hot takes, any predictions? What do you got for us?
Well, sadly, my hot take from last game, I don't know if you remember it. I said Bertuzzi's going to score 2 goals. He didn't.
Yes, he did not.
I predicted for the second line to cook, but that wasn't the case.
They did not.
What's my prediction for next game? Who do we play? Buffalo, right?
Buffalo on Thursday night.
And it's in Buffalo, right? I think so.
Believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, Buffalo's getting smoked. I don't even know what the end of the score was, but I know in the second period it was 7-1. They were losing. I don't know if you know that, but they were losing 7-1 to Columbus.
Yeah, they got smoked.
Yes.
I think they lost 9-4 or 10-4 or something like that.
Oh, gosh. Okay, well...
Yeah, I'm checking right now.
Trying to think of a good prediction to make here. Because I feel like we need to come in strong next game and win it. And I think we should be able to. Definitely against the Buffalo team that's not been as good as they could be. But we always play down our opponents a lot of the time. Hopefully that's not the case. Nylander's going to have 2 goals next game. And Matthews will have 1. That's going to be my prediction. 2 goals from Nylander. Matthews going to have 1. I don't know about that second line right now. I don't want to make predictions on a line that hasn't been producing.
Okay. Fair enough.
Give him the benefit of the doubt before.
I like it. All right, well, Alex, I appreciate you taking the time to do this here tonight. Thanks for calling in. I will have a live stream on Thursday after the game. I'm not sure about Saturday. I will let people know, but that's holidays. I think I'm supposed to have Christmas stuff with some of my friends. I got to figure out my Christmas schedule. Hopefully, I'll let you guys know a little bit more by Thursday. But Thursday, for sure, there will be a stream. So make sure to subscribe here to the channel. Alex, thank you very much for doing this. And I'll see you on Thursday, hopefully.
Yes, you will. And have a good night, Zach. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks, Alex. There you go. There's our second caller of the night here tonight. I appreciate everyone who calls in, everyone who takes the time to do this. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed the stream here tonight, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel. Let us know your thoughts on the game, your thoughts on the stream, all that kind of stuff. If there's things you want added, things you want taken out, whatever it is, I'm looking forward to the feedback. Thanks everyone for tuning in here tonight. Thanks everyone for tuning in here tonight. I appreciate the support as always. If you liked the stream, if you subscribed, I appreciate that. Let's get this thing to 1,000. We're at 826. I want to see that number up. I want to see 850 before Thursday night. Thanks to everyone who tuned in. Greatly appreciate it. This has been game 29 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, losing to the New York Rangers 5-2 here tonight, moving to 16-7-6 on the season. Thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing everyone on Thursday. And as always, guys, thanks. Keep leading.